Nashville 3HL on the air, 104.5 The Zone. Brent Doherty, Don Davenport. Don, what's up?
Hi. Happy, what day is it?
It's a day.
Let's go.
It's a day in L.A. at Radio Row, 104.5 The Zone, going on the road to Radio Row. We are here in Los Angeles, thanks to Ferguson, HVAC, Two Rivers Ford, and a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. Tune in each day. Buck Rising and 3HL. Broadcasting live from Radio Row with tons of special guests, including one guy that is sitting at the table. He and Don might get into it a little bit. I don't know. Our Radio
I don't know.
Row.
We've had like
you guys are getting along too much.
We've aligned here and there, and I don't know how to handle it.
Our Radio Row coverage brought to you by Ferguson HVAC. Quality products, exceptional service. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people. A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa, Nashville's only full-service salon, day spa, and gift boutique located in Cool Springs. We also have this guy, Ron Slay.
Hey, what's happening?
I'm in the building. Hey, I'm in the building. I'm in the building. I'm in the building.
I'm
in the
a
building.
little slow on the pull up there.
I'm in the building. I'm in the building.
Come on, Hunk. We're on the road in the building in L.A., man.
He most definitely is in the building. That is Ronald Sylvester Slay.
Yes, sir.
We've got Danny Kanell with us. We're going to talk some college football
You
and
got it.
probably hit on the Super Bowl. Danny, what's up? How are you, man?
I am great. It's good to see you guys in person. Now I could put, I can see people because, when you're talking on a phone, it's hard to connect.
Or when you're yelling at people on Twitter.
Exactly, that too. Or if I want, see, now I'm next to Dawn, so I can just wring her neck right now. Like if she says something I don't like, we can get into it. I have a question for you guys because I've been so just entrenched in Super Bowl radio.
Yeah.
Is Brian Harsin still the coach at Auburn or what? I am genuinely asking that question because I can't keep track. Like he's fired one day, he's back. Is there an endorsement or not? Like what is happening?
The one constant is he's on vacation.
Yeah, he's on a beach drinking out of a cup.
He's on a boat with T-Pain. I don't know.
They told him to come back, and he gave him a nice little.
Yeah, he's like, I've been hustling, working. I'm enjoying my vacation.
Doesn't this thing have to be where Auburn is trying to figure out how to fire him with cause?
It sure feels that way. Man, I tell you, this aspect of college football, I both love and hate it, right? Because it's the nasty side, which college football fans in general, some conferences more than others, get a little bit crazy. They become a little bit, like lunatics in their fandom for their teams, and they'll do whatever it takes to get their way. And now you've got a faction of Auburn fans who want their way, which would be a new direction at head coach, and they will not stop at anything to get there. So here's what I think is disgusting. If the rumors are true, they're disgusting. If the rumors aren't true, it's disgusting. So nobody wins in this situation that's unfolding for Auburn. I mean, I guess Brian Harsin wins in the end if he gets paid. If he but that's the with cause aspect that comes into it. So they're trying to, gin up whatever they can to find out if they can get out of it. But what if they can't?
It's like a messy divorce, and the fans are the kids.
Yes, exactly. Yes, except the kids have way too much say, and they have too much influence. In my family, the kids are the last ones we go to. It's like me and my wife. We'll take some input, but in the end, we're going to do what we want to do. And then there's the other aspect who are, I don't know what these participants, what role they play, but boosters.
Yeah.
Boosters have way too much power and influence.
Way too much. But over that's any school.
Absolutely.
That's at your
Absolutely. Definitely. It happens at Florida State. It happens everywhere you see it. And if you're an athletic director, you're in this really odd dynamic because you want to keep getting those checks. And you want to make them feel good, and you want to make them feel like they're a part of the program, and yet sometimes it can be a detriment to your school because they become so involved, and if they don't get their way, which I don't think there's a faction of Auburn boosters who wanted Brian Harsin, and now they're like, see, I told you so, now we got to get rid of him, and then you're in this endless cycle, this churn of trying to find the next head coach, and it just sets you back of where you in the end want to be, which is Bama, because everybody wants to be Bama.
Yeah, exactly. But with the NIL, how do you keep these boosters pulled along without them thinking, man, I just gave you $13 million. What do you mean I don't get no say?
But you really need them now with NIL.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've always needed them, let's be honest, right? But now you really need them.
You definitely do.
Because it's legal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're starting to see these collectives pop up where, the University of Florida actually has one of the ones that's gotten a lot of attention because, to me, I think there's a lot of fans that would have done whatever it takes to get the 5-star in, but they're like, hey, I don't have a bag full of $100,000 cash to give somebody. And so schools are getting creative, and they're offering monthly subscriptions, starting as low as $5 a month to contribute to this fund, which in the end is going to go out to paying NIL fees to have the player endorse whatever. So if you feel like, hey, I just want to be a part of it, you can chip in $5 all the way up to $1,000 a month. Wow. And then, of course, you'll still have the big boosters that are out there that'll cut whatever check it takes. And then it's just one mess of a situation.
How do we fix it?
Oof.
What is like?
It's
how,
gone.
How
we
is
don't.
it regulated though? How can it?
It needs to be, and that's the one thing that almost every coach I talk to is frustrated by. Is we need some guidelines. We need, we need a calendar because like the transfer portal is another issue that the teams are struggling with, and you can transfer at any time, which I don't like, and I get that. I get that you want to, player empowerment is a big thing, and there's a disparity between coaches who leave schools and players who leave schools, and I'm glad that players are able to move around more freely now, but it's just no one wins when you see players in the middle of a season that can just pop in the portal. And then after spring football, I think you'll see another kind of mass exodus of, and a lot of times it's quarterbacks, but you lose a position battle. And so you're not happy, and then you're like, all right, I'll just go in the portal and just transfer somewhere else. Yep. So there needs to be some continuity calendar there. And the NIL, I don't know. I mean, the one thing that I think is frustrating for coaches is some schools in some states, you can actually facilitate an NIL deal with, like, the coach can say, hey, I need this guy signed to $100,000, whatever it is, and you can go, all right, and you snap your fingers and it happens. Other schools, you can't. I'll give you an example that hits close to home because Florida State got embarrassed on signing day by Travis Hunter, the number 1 overall recruit, going to play for Deion Sanders at Jackson State. And I remember, talking to Mike Norvell about it. He can't, because I'm sure Travis Hunter calls him and, it's that awkward situation.
Here's what the deal is.
Yeah. And Mike Norvell can't say, we'll match it or we'll give you we'll bump it up a little bit more. It takes time. He's got to separate himself so that they don't get in trouble for doing anything. And yet, my pushback would be, well, what trouble can you get into? The NCAA is powerless, and so there's some schools are trying to do it right, some schools aren't doing it right, and then some schools are allowed to do whatever they want, which is really just we need to level the playing field where everybody has some sort of this is what you're allowed to do, this is what you're not allowed to do. But so to answer your question, Don, I don't know how it gets done. Because we don't have a commissioner. The NCAA is powerless. We have 5 Power 5 commissioners, and they're all going to do what's in the best interest of their conference. We've got politicians getting involved because they're trying to change laws. I mean, there are football fans that are politicians that are saying, wait a second, my state, we can't facilitate a deal? Well, we're going to change that. And they are. It's happening in Florida. A buddy of mine who's a Florida State guy, Chip LaMarca, he's a politician. He's trying to change that because they're sick and tired of looking at other states that are able to do this. So it's a mess. My hope, though, and this is I'm a passionate college football fan, is that we still get the great product like we saw this year. Yeah. Because we had NIL all season long, we had transfer portal all season long, and we still had maybe one of the best football seasons I've seen in 20 years with the amount of upsets and unlikely stories, and we got new players at the playoff. My hope is that the product isn't impacted because it's such a great product, and we have the best fans watching our sport. I just hope it continues, and I think it will, but there's definitely some problems that need to be addressed.
Danny Kanell with us at Danny Kanell, Dusty and Danny, Sirius XM, Channel 84, CBSSportsHQ.com. You can find him there. As a former quarterback, which storyline intrigues you the most? Matt Stafford now with the shot coming off all those years in Detroit, or Joe Burrow in year 2 taking the world by storm?
Brett, I don't think you can lose in this game. If you're not a Rams fan, if you're not a Bengals fan, they're both incredibly likable stories. Yeah. I mean, Matthew Stafford playing in a wasteland that's Detroit, getting beat up and battered. His wife has battled disease and come back from it. She's a great story. Yeah. He's still, he's humble, he's not a diva. And then you got Joe Burrow, who's this young, absolute superstar who I don't know if you guys know. I am fascinated by how he toes the line of being cocky and yet being likable, because typically in our country, if you're Baker Mayfield, right? He's cocky, so he has his haters. Almost everybody, Burrow, kind of likes him, and yet he is cocky, but he doesn't cross that line. It's a fascinating dynamic to see unfold.
Do you think he tries to play that? Or do you think that's just
I think it's authentic, which is why it works.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like him in the purple tinted glasses, and a reporter asked him about it, like, what's up with the shades? And he's like, I just liked them. You know, like that was, and I think he was right. Now, he might have had an influence. Like, I go back to me, like when I wore looks that were different.
Yeah.
Typically, there was a female behind that inspiration, you know. If she said it looked good. I actually did. I hate to admit this. I dyed my hair platinum blonde at a very low point in my career.
Is that picture out there? Can we find it?
It exists. Yeah, I've tried to scrub it. It's a little bit hard to find. But the stylist that was doing my hair was super hot. Brad Pitt had just done it. She was like, I think it looked great on you. And so I was like, let's roll with it. And then I got cut 3 months later, which I still attribute my last snap in the NFL. My career ended because of that horrific decision. So, yeah, it was definitely not good for the career.
Well, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for always being willing to hop on the show.
I love it, man. I love being on with you guys. Yep. You guys are some of my favorites.
Just real quick, Danny, on the way out, what colleges did the Super Bowl quarterbacks?
Here we go. Here we go.
Just tell me what
Burrow's an Ohio guy who started his career at Ohio State and then was stolen by LSU.
No, wasn't utilized properly, and then went and won a national title where, you know, the real football people
and
knew
I'm
how to
sure
utilize
we
his
won't
talent.
hear any about the SEC ties for the quarterbacks at all week. You guys are the best. Thank you. That's like slightly dyed. There's a better one out there.
There's a better picture than this.
Don't worry, we'll put the picture out for y'all.
All right, thank you, Danny. At Danny Kanell on Twitter. More from Radio Row in Los Angeles next. 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
You've got a job to do, and we're here to make sure you get it done right. When you work with Ferguson HVAC, we'll make sure you get the equipment, parts, and supplies you need quickly. That way you can get in, get stocked, and get back to the work that really matters.
Wouldn't it be amazing if we could get a place of our own out here?
Well, maybe we can.
How's that?
The 5-minute loan approval app from the Home Loan Expert makes it super easy to find out if you're approved for a home loan.
It's about, what, Kirby, 47 degrees inside this convention center? Yeah, somewhere in there.
It's a little chilly.
Outside, 87 degrees and sunny, and there are palm trees and all kinds of things.
We wouldn't have an idea. We're grinding, baby.
We're grinding. Solomon Wilcots coming up. He's a former Bengal. We'll talk with him about the Super Bowl. But
I think of him as a former Pat.
Well, he played DB for Cincy.
And then they do.
Don't you put him with the Pats?
I would, but since he does the podcast with, based around Cincinnati, I kind of.
Yeah.
Here they come right now.
Yep.
So last night we get in, and literally I feel so bad for this parent. There was a screaming child on our plane for 4 hours.
The entire time. That was amazing.
No, it wasn't screaming. It was shrieking.
Yeah.
And your girl has traveled with a baby a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
So the commitment to go the entire way was really something to be celebrated, I think.
What, for the child to
Yes.
go 5 hours
Yes.
of straight? I just wanted to pick up said child and but I don't know, do something.
It slowed down as soon as we were about to hit the ground. Once I heard them say 95 miles out, it wasn't as bad. I'm like, no, keep it going.
So
don't slow down now.
So we land, we get out of the airport, we forget something at the airport. So we have Paul Mason's probably hearing this for the first time, right? Like our 3HL banner is at LAX right now.
Somebody forgot that. I'm blank.
Who forgot that? Who was in charge of that?
So then
I was in charge of checking it in.
But if you check it in, you're in charge.
It was
right?
set in front. In the meeting, it was set in front of the mayor.
Oh. See,
no, what do you mean? That is right.
Wait,
you were in there.
See, who checked it at the airport, though?
That would be Ronald Slay.
Hey, I don't even remember the check-in, so.
Yeah.
This is why I just need to freaking be in charge of everything, right?
Cool.
Pretty much.
Probably, yes. So we get to the hotel, and what's up, Solomon?
What's happening, man?
How are you?
Yeah, all right.
Doc, what's up? How are you? So we're telling our story about getting into L.A. last night. So we get into the hotel. It's like 1:15 Central Time. No, it's like 2 o'clock Central Time. Yeah. And Slay had delivered worldwide tacos.
The best tacos you will ever eat in your entire life are made right here in L.A.
Ain't no doubt about that.
Do you know them?
I don't know about that specific taco.
Tacos are made, though.
But I'm born and raised in L.A.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can get a taco around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we that's what we specialize in. We can do a taco.
Yeah.
It was by far the best taco I've ever had in my entire life.
Ding, ding, ding.
Like 2 hours later, I was still texting the boys about it. I'm like, I can't stop thinking about this taco.
So good.
Well, we needed something to wash down the taco, so we might have had a bottle of something that Kirby had delivered, but we needed a mixer. So literally, me and Slay, as we did in New York, when we got to New York, we're walking the streets of L.A. at like 2:30 in the morning, which is not probably a smart thing.
Not downtown.
No.
Solomon's like, nah.
We made it. It's much better now.
Survive in advance.
Solomon Wilcots joins us now. Solomon, great to have you on. We had you on a couple of weeks ago before the Bengals-Titans matchup, and it went about like you said.
Yeah, you guys are laughing at me, man. I was taking body blows. Pow, pow. I was like, oh.
Don was off that.
I was going to say, I was off, so I missed all of this.
Yeah. Oh, they were wearing me out, man. I can tell you. They were like, they just knew that number one seed was going to do all the work.
Yeah.
Hey.
You think about that watching the game? God, that Nashville station, man, were they wrong?
Yeah, Wilcots was like, well, if this happens and this happens, Cincinnati will win this game. We're like, yeah, great. Okay, moving on. That was Titans fans are still upset about that game.
Man. Listen, I still listen, and I appreciate Mike Vrabel. I think he's a great coach, not a good one, but a great one. I think he teaches the game the right way. Yeah. And he was looking stunned at that scoreboard in the final second. He was like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? I could just see it. Are you kidding me? How did this team come in here and beat us?
It wasn't supposed to happen.
It wasn't supposed to happen, man. It's just, but this is what I tell people all the time about the NFL. This ain't no best 4 out of 7 kind of deal.
Right.
We don't play no series.
Right.
We play one day.
Yep.
And on any given day, I'm telling you now, anything can go down.
That's the beauty
especially
of
if we pick you off on the first play of the game.
Man.
Now,
open up like this.
Yeah, see, and you know what that did? It hijacked the crowd.
Yeah.
it hijacked the confidence of the opposing team. That's called, like in a boxing match, it's like coming out, bam, hitting them in the mouth. Yeah. Right? You just hit them in the mouth, and now they're like, everybody like playing on the heels now. Everybody knows that when Jesse Bates intercepted that first pass of the game by Ryan Tannehill, the entire crowd for the rest of the day had angina. Couldn't quite breathe. What was about to happen here? But that's how it happens. That's how you go into someone else's place and beat them.
Yeah. That's what you got to do.
It's about momentum, and it's about stealing that energy that they normally use to play bully ball themselves.
So this is a great segue into what you've got going on today. You've got a guest with you, and I think Titans fans collectively needed one of these Bioheart machines.
They did.
Right?
They really did.
All season long, actually.
They really did. Because the pulse was at a whole nother level. And I'm joined by the architect and the inventor of the Bioheart heart monitor. Well, Koss, tell them about the Bioheart heart monitor and just how much information that you can share with your doctor and really help you if you're someone who has suffered from a cardio event.
Thanks, Solomon. Thanks for having me, guys.
Hang on. Let's make sure we got your mic on. Come on, Kirby.
Kirby's
turn
moving.
him up. Turn him up.
Turn him up. Turn the doctor up.
There you go, Doc.
He's clearly the smartest guy sitting here right now.
He's too well dressed to not have a mic on.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Solomon. Thanks for having me, guys. So a little bit just about Biotricity. We're a medical device company, and our product's actually used by 1,500 cardiologists. And what we found is that it's the number one killer, but cardiac patients and people with risk, they don't actually have something to monitor them for personal use. Sports fans, you have athletes that actually have intermittent or asymptomatic issues and they drop in the field. And so we took all our medical technology and converted it into a monitor that you can wear and collect days, weeks, months, years of data, as opposed to like something on an Apple Watch, which is 30 seconds of data.
So this is a lot of prevention taking place right here.
Exactly. Yeah. It's exactly prevention. And, one of the things that people don't realize is that a lot of this stuff, that's why they call it the silent killer. Nobody actually knows what's happening.
Yep.
And so if you have a device that can actually collect long-term data, you can actually see that information. And you can actually go back in time. Otherwise, it's
Do you have it on, Solomon?
I have the heart monitor on.
Nice.
And you're looking at the app. It's on my cell phone. And I can literally record on my cell phone, right? It's like an EKG.
Yeah.
And I can record that data, and then I can share it with my physician, right? So I don't have to wait till I go to the doctor's office saying, hey, here's what I experienced, here's what I felt like. And then if I don't feel that way, if I feel better while I'm at the doctor's office, he's just going to say, okay, well, let me know if it happens again. Well, I may not be back ever again.
Right, if something's really wrong. Yeah.
This is going to allow me to record the data, what's going on, and we need long periods of information. Like you said, some of these episodes happen intermittently, every now and then. And so I can record this and share that data with my doctor. This is phenomenal remote biometric monitoring. It's phenomenal.
Good for people too, like me, who have anxiety and panic attacks and stuff like that, to kind of determine if it's something like serious or
if it's more physical or psychological, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
absolutely.
Does it matter for age or it doesn't? Because a lot of high school students you see falling out.
You laugh because you know it's true.
I had a partner of mine that coached with me, and one of his kids collapsed on the floor, and they had no idea he was in great health, but
no, that's exactly right. Actually, we designed it so it's actually better for both older. So the bigger problem is older generation and younger generation, because they're not just compliant. They don't want to wear anything that's a medical device that people can see. So we made it. You can't tell that somebody's wearing it. It's a strap. You just go about doing you can go play soccer, go play football, do whatever you're doing, and it's collecting the data. So
Bioheart.com is the website there. So Solomon Wilcots, as a former Bengal, which fan base is going to need to hit this Bioheart.com website in this game coming up this weekend?
It might be good for all of them to wear it during the game, because I think it's going to be that kind of game. Remember, Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, was standing next to Sean McVay in 2018 when they lost in the Super Bowl to the Patriots. And then just a week after that, he was hired as the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. Lost a lot of games over his first 2 years, including last season with Joe Burrow, where he only had him for the first 10 games. But Zach Taylor has really grown as an excellent play caller, He really has his finger on the pulse of his football team. He was right here in L.A., so he kind of knows the lay of the land, right? Where the traps are. Tell his players, stay away from there. Don't go hanging out with those guys downtown getting tacos, right? And
2 in the morning.
But no, this is going to be a good game because you guys know this. I think Titans fans know this. You can sack Joe Burrow, but it don't mean you can beat him, right? Mm-hmm. I've never seen a guy who literally manages a game in a way where he'll take a sack before he throws a pick. Yeah. He'll take a sack on first down, knowing he still has 2 downs to get another first down. Yeah. He ain't taking a sack on third down. Right. I saw him manage a game in a way that I never saw a young quarterback. Most guys, get sacked that much. Dude, they're rattled. Mm-hmm. They're shook. They ain't shaking that off and still coming up, making plays, throwing the football. But he took some of those sacks. All 9 of those weren't on the offensive line. Right. Okay? But he knew the complexity of that Titan secondary. And, hey, Bioheart and those guys, they're really good on the back end of their defense. You don't just throw it carelessly into that secondary. Yeah. So he was going to take the sack, knowing it's first down, I'll come back on second and third to convert and get a new set of downs. That's operating at a whole nother level of understanding how to manage a ball game. I do know this. He came from behind on the Chiefs, Week 17, 3 times down 14 points. Yeah. In the AFC Championship game, he came back down 18 points on the road at Arrowhead. Mm-hmm. Not an easy place to play. No. This guy's got greater poise than you would ever think, and he plays from the neck up as good as any quarterback I've ever seen 2 years into his career.
So what is it? Let me ask you, what is it that's driving him? We understand Joe Burrow. We understand his defense is pretty good, especially in the trenches. But what is it that's driving him? Is it the coaching when you look at them and you think about the game and they maybe get too cute or maybe out-coach themselves as far as the opponent goes? And then you look up, man, you're in a dogfight. You're like, like you said, Mike Vrabel looking at the clock like, hold on, wait, what happened to the time? So what is it with Cincinnati? What's putting them over the hump?
If you look at the postseason games, there are 3 playoff games. Every last one of them ended with the Bengals defense coming up with an interception, right? Got one off Derek Carr, closed it out. Got one off Tannehill at the end of the game, closed it out. Got one off Patrick Mahomes, end of the game, closed it out. So when you do that and you have a quarterback that manages a game in a way that he's going to set you up next thing you know, he's sticking in the dagger. They have a field goal kicker that has kicked 4 field goals in each one of their 3 postseason games. That dude is putting in work, and he's just a rookie.
And he's very confident.
He's very confident. And so 12 points a game just in the kicking game. So it's enough, man. It's enough to turn things into the favor of the underdog. It's just you don't have to be a world beater. All I got to do is be better than you on that day. Right. And the Rams are beatable. I don't know why everybody's sitting around here acting like Rams. Greatest show, at SoFi. I mean, but they're the Rams. I respect the Rams. They are a good team. But we saw them take their lumps this year. Yeah. Your Titans came up in here on a Sunday night game, and Jeffrey Simmons just put it on them.
About that guy.
Kevin Bioheart put it on them. Yeah. They're beatable. Why are we sitting there acting like this is an impossible thing? Yeah. We need to just play this game today and get it over with.
I think you're ready, man.
I want to go back to the Zach Taylor McVay kind of connection because you mentioned it. He was standing right next to McVay last time in the big game. Yep. So how much of an advantage is that, do you really think? I mean, from the outside, we can say, oh, it's an advantage. He knows how he thinks. He knows how he play calls. He knows all of that. But on the inside, how much of an advantage is that for Zach Taylor, even if it's just a mental of McVay maybe thinking, okay, well, he knows this is what I like to do. This is my tendency. Do I need to change it?
Good coaches, they understand X's and O's, so they understand tendencies, right? That's what you kind of just described. But really, really good coaches understand psychologically how you tick, what makes you tick, how you think. What are the things you're most concerned about? What are the things that you would do in certain situations? Are you protective or are you proactive? Spend enough time with someone, you get to understand how they think, what the psychology is, and it is that kind of information, that kind of data, right, that allows you to leverage, I think, the ability to put together a game plan that will attack certain areas and make you think. I'll give you one. in a game like this, every coach, because you have 2 weeks to prepare, you should have a trick play. If you don't have a trick play, you should have a play in the game plan that you have not run all season long, because you got 2 weeks to practice it. You can't do this during the regular season when you only have 1 week. So you got 2 weeks you should have, and you better run it early in the game, right, when people are least expected. Right? Late in the game, when the game is on the line and critical moments occur, it's like, okay, watch out for this, watch out for that. Early in the game, people don't know what to watch out for, because at that point, you're still getting a feel for the game. Right. So that just gives you an idea, in knowing how that other guy thinks, that's where I would look to implement that play based on what my read is on that other opponent and on that coach psychologically.
Solomon Wilcots, Emmy award-winning broadcaster at Solomon's Wisdom, former Bengal DB, and does a podcast on the Believe Podcast Network with
we had our boy Blaine Bishop on there.
Yes, you did.
Prior to the game.
You did.
Yeah. They laughed at me too, just like you guys did. She didn't. You
I was off.
We get to talk with your co-host tomorrow, Adam Pac-Man Jones here.
Oh, you're gonna love that.
Hey, listen,
that's my boy. Y'all remember Adam? Y'all remember?
Yeah, that's my man. That's my man. He FaceTimed me before the game started.
Cool.
It was after the interception though, and we made a bet, so I owe him a Jeff Ruby steak.
You guys get him down there.
He wrong for FaceTiming me and making me do that after the pick. He suckered me in.
That ain't right.
That's that Atlanta stuff, man. That's that Atlanta stuff.
Thanks for having us, guys. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Doc.
Tell everybody they can go to www.bioheart.com if you want to take a look at this heart monitor. You have someone that you're concerned about, family, friends, or loved one. This is an excellent device that'll give you peace of mind.
Available without a prescription, too, which is great. Bioheart.com. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. All right, there you go. Big game coming up this weekend. Aaron Taylor, former Notre Dame star, will join us when we come back. We'll talk college football and the NFL with him. 3HL, broadcasted live from Radio Row in advance of Super Bowl 56 on 104.5 The Zone.
Wait. Harder than ever.
I mean, just superstars walking through the LA Convention Center.
I took a picture of him. He's got 2 pencils sticking out of his visor. He is working, man.
Ready to get to it.
2 turntables and a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I know Derrick Henry will be here tomorrow.
Yep.
We've heard some other Titans maybe walking through at some point. The commissioner, Roger Goodell, the NFL will play in Germany the next 4 years. They'll play in Munich in 2022. They'll play in Munich twice and Frankfurt twice. They'll also play in Mexico next season.
But you know what, man? Germany, even when I was over there playing, they had a football league started.
Germany.
So it was guys with
the Frankfurt Galaxy. Remember them?
Yeah, I do. When they were off, we would always be like, man, these dudes look big. What are they doing in Milan? And they'd be like, man, we had a weekend off, so they came over to hang in Milan. Try to come kick it with some hoopers.
So when basketball players and football players meet up, is it like kind of like Anchorman and like there's this big brawl?
It can be. It can be. I mean, it depends. It depends. So, but the good thing is, we always get along, especially linemen and bigs.
Well, that's good because you're related to one.
Yeah, that's true.
We ran into Anthony Munoz and Michael Munoz. We're going to talk with those guys, I think, tomorrow. And Michael was there when you were there, right?
Yeah, it's my guy, man.
And Michael was there with a brief hangover with your brother, Ramon, right?
Yeah. Yep. When Ramon was coming
he wasn't hungover, Will Bowling.
04.
Good Lord.
Ramon came in 04, and then, Munoz went out in 04, so there you go. They crossed paths. But then I caught Munoz a little bit of his career.
He had some injury things, and that's what derailed everything. But, gosh, that dude was such a talented football player.
They're bloodline, dude. They got some players.
Albert Breer with the story. Don saw this earlier today. Check this out. We're about to go through Pro Day World, which, is quarterbacks throwing to their receivers, and they complete 89 of 87 passes somehow. But that's going to happen. But
the plus of the Pro Day is NFL scouts and these teams get that one-on-one time with these guys too. So, yes, they get to see them work out, but even more than that, it's the chatting with the coaches, chatting with the staff, chatting with the players, all of that.
So what's the problem that surfaced today, Don Davenport?
See, what happened was, so Ole Miss Pro Day scheduled for March 24th. Quarterback Matt Corral, right? Great, good. Okay, no big deal. Well, guess what? Cincinnati and Liberty's Pro Days are scheduled for March 24th. Who's one of the big-time Cincinnati guys? Desmond Ridder. Who's the big-time Liberty guy? Oh, that would be Malik Willis. So Willis, Ridder, Corral, all at the same time, all throwing on the same day for Pro Day, and NFL teams are not happy about it.
And they're not happy about it. And
I get it.
Look. And all these guys have egos and stuff like that. And every university thinks they're more powerful than the other and all of those things. So, nobody wants to be the one to move off that date, right?
Right.
But you need to.
Well, because guess what? It's not about you. It's about these kids and their opportunity, and it's about giving them the most eyes on them, the most people to talk to them, giving them the best opportunity to be drafted and move to the next level, right?
Yep.
Lane Kiffin, it's not about you. Hugh Freeze, it ain't about you. Like, somebody switch your freaking Pro Day.
Man, I can't dump you.
So much passion.
Aaron Taylor sits down.
Jeez, what did I step into?
Hi.
So,
the hot box.
Let's get your take on this. So the news came down. Aaron Taylor joins us, former Notre Dame star, Super Bowl champ with the Packers, NFL stud, at Aaron Taylor, CFB. The news came down today that Liberty, Ole Miss,
and Cincinnati
are all going to have their pro day on the same day, March 24th. So
what?
NFL executives are upset about that.
Oh, my God.
Because those are three of the stud quarterbacks, right? Like, and I get that this quarterback class people view like down here, whatever. But they're going to be first-round quarterbacks taken, right? Like, so you need to evaluate this class. Isn't that weird?
It is weird, but I think college football, it's one of the problems that we have in our sport is that everybody's out for themselves. Now, when you're scheduling these things, you're working around a bunch of different stuff, and you got to slot it in for what makes sense for you and what your spring football schedule is and who's going to be in town and recruiting and all those sorts of things. But again, part of the problem we have as a sport is that there's no unification. There's no one voice. Everybody's about themselves, and we've seen that on the Power 5 level. We've seen that within the Power 5 level of the alliance that the ACC and the Pac-12 and the Big Ten have made to try to compete with the SEC because they're worried about Oklahoma and Texas coming in. And it's like, it's a hot mess, man. So to me, this is just emblematic of an even bigger problem that we have within our sport, and that's that there's no unity in something that's supposed to celebrate tradition and rivalry and pageantry and togetherness.
Yeah. Speaking of all those things, I'm glad you sat down. So this is not going to come off the way that I want to because Notre Dame has been really, really good and playing at a high level lately.
Oh, I'm bracing myself.
No,
Yeah,
Aaron.
It's already bad. It's already bad.
People our age, like Notre Dame was like this mythical thing, right? So I'm curious, like, how much did it mean to you to put that Golden Dome helmet on the first time? How much did it mean to you to take that first snap at Notre Dame?
Why are you walking me down the road of what the hell happened to Notre Dame? Like, that's what he's doing.
No.
It's a tee-up.
Yes, it is. It is.
I mean, we'll get to Brian Kelly and dancing at LSU and all that stuff. No, I'm just saying, as a college football fan, I always wondered, like, what was that like?
It's a tee-up before I get kneecapped. I know. I'm familiar with it. Man, I got to tell you, like, running out of the tunnel and tapping the Play Like a Championship, the Play Like a Champion Today sign, like, that moment for me as a true freshman underneath the lights against Michigan. It was the first night game at Notre Dame in 1990 in like 30-plus years. We had to bring lights in. There's no lights at Notre Dame Stadium. So, like, that moment, and I had somehow worked my way up to the second team as a true freshman. I think it was more because the guy in front of me was a fifth-year senior that my coach didn't like, and he was trying to send a message. But regardless, I got to dress.
Whatever. Whatever works.
And I ran out on the field, and I'm like, it's night. And I'm looking, and it's in pregame, and I see those ugly-ass helmets of Michigan, and I'm like, I'm on the field. Yeah. Like, that's Michigan. Like, they're there. Like, I'm here. Like, it was a surreal moment of, like, I'm actually here. Like, this is going to happen. And then it was like, oh, dear God, I hope I don't have to play today. Like, don't put me in the game. I was so nervous. But we came back, and Rick Meyer ended up on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Golden Boy, and that famous pose that he had. And the thing that was memorable about that moment for me, and it's great that you asked me that question, we came back into the locker room, and it was a last-minute drive. We scored right before the game ended to take the lead. And Holtz brought us all up, and we're all celebrating. We're 1-0. And he says, see, if you follow the plan, we'll never lose a game in this stadium. Follow the plan, man, and you will go undefeated in Notre Dame Stadium.
Oh, my gosh.
And that was the moment we all bought in, hook, line, and sinker. He had this plan on how we win. We got to out-hit in the 7 areas. Don't turn the football over. And special teams, and miss assignments, blah, blah, blah. But that was like, it was an iconic moment for me on so many different levels, especially because I was 17 years old and didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Oh, my gosh. It's so funny because my kid just got back from an official visit in Charlotte, and Lou Holtz's granddaughter works in that program.
Love it.
So, it's just great.
Hey, man, you never understand how many players can imitate their coaches. Like, it's always one on your team like, man, do it. Like, and you got it. You had to be that dude on the team.
Everybody's that dude on the team. And you almost feel cheap because it's so easy. But like it's easy money. You got to do it.
You
got to do it.
All right, so this is where we transition with Aaron Taylor, too. What's your reaction when you see Brian Kelly in these really tight areas, like dancing with players and stuff?
Man, I want to go take a shower.
This wasn't supposed to go this way.
Yeah, that's not supposed to happen, and I'm not supposed to be this captivated by it. Like, I cannot not watch it.
Yeah.
And I keep
multiple
watching
times.
it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I keep watching
it. Yeah. My wife's looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I can't stop watching. I don't know. What's happening?
Right.
I'm so uncomfortable. Man, like, I don't know what deal BK's made with the devil, but he's like, screw it. I'm going to sell my soul to the devil. We're going to win 2 national championships. I'm going to hump a little kids in a 360, and we're going to ride off into the sunset.
That's it. That's it.
It's just crazy because, like, he seems so much different in this stuff than he ever was at Notre Dame.
And the Southern accent.
Oh, bud, my family?
Yeah,
how my family doing?
That's what did it.
I had the boudin and the chitlins and the crayfish etouffee. Man, like, I've never, and I've been guilty of this. I think this is human nature. Like, for any of us to be successful at anything, we have to be our authentic selves.
Yeah.
When we try to be or become something other than we are, we're just going to come up short. And I'm as guilty of that at times in my life as anybody else. So when I watch what's going on with BK, I'm like, dang, bro. Reel it back in, because he has been excellent and exceptional about delivering messages and about, the way that he speaks publicly. Like, he could walk into a kitchen with a knife in his hand and there's a dead body on the floor. He'd be like, BK, did you do it? He'd be like, well, let me talk about this. And he'd talk his way out of it. But, like, he's down there like the old guy in the club at 2:30 when the light's on, with these recruits. And it's like, what are you doing? But who knows? The last 3 head coaches have won national championships. Edo, Les Miles, and I think BK's at least as good, if not quite a bit better coach than both those dudes. Right. So who knows, man? The Tigers probably win it all for 3 straight years.
So what's your message, Aaron Taylor, walking around Radio Row today?
Man, football's a people game. Yeah. Like, we're all here. We want to see great skilled players and defenses and Aaron Donald and all that stuff, Joey Burrow. But, like, what the essence of our sport is people. It's laughing, it's conversations, it's the rides home in the bus after the game or to practice. And Jim McMahon, who's rolling up in here in a wheelchair because he's got something going on with his foot. We were together in Green Bay and won this ring together. Kyle Turley and Robert Gallery, all these different offensive linemen, and Ryan Harris, who's now in the media, was a great player at Denver and the Pittsburgh Steelers and from Notre Dame, and he was a mentee of mine. Like, I was working with ABC and went to interview him because he was a Muslim kid at Notre Dame, and he was this biracial mixed Muslim kid at Notre Dame. It was like, let's do a story on that.
Yeah.
And we stayed in contact. So, like, what's great about this is we get to laugh, we get to tell some stories, we also get to talk about some things that matter all around the greatest game ever created.
I love it. Aaron Taylor with us on 3HL. Hey, great to see you, man. Appreciate you. Well done on the Lou Holtz, man. That might pop back up on the show.
Man.
I don't know.
Get some licensing rights.
At Aaron Taylor, CFB. Give him a follow. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. When we come back, Coach Mack will join us. We'll talk X's and O's, talk some ball with Coach Mack next. 3HL of Radio Row at Los Angeles. Thanks to Ferguson, HVAC, Two Rivers Ford, and a moment's peace, Salon and Day Spa. We'll be right back. 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
our clients hundreds, even thousands of dollars a month with a simple refinance. Let us assist you with an easy refinance today at thehomeloanexpert.com.
Welcome in 3HL 104.5 The Zone Wednesday edition as we continue our coverage at Radio Row, brought to you in Los Angeles by Ferguson HVAC, Two Rivers Ford, and a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. Tune in each day. Buck Rising and 3HL broadcasting live from Radio Row with tons of special guests and hear exclusive interviews that you won't get anywhere else. Our Radio Row coverage brought to you by Ferguson HVAC. Quality products, exceptional service. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people. A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa, Nashville's only full-service salon, day spa, and gift boutique located in Cool Springs. Will Bowling is here, handling all of the digital responsibilities. Alan Kirby is getting Pepsi for us at times. Like, Slate, we haven't had anything to eat.
No.
All day.
A bag of chips.
I had oatmeal.
I put
a long time ago.
Yeah, it's gone.
Coach Mack with us now to talk a little ball. Coach Mack, what's up? How are you?
Guys, how's it going on Radio Row in L.A.? Look, there's a lot of good places to eat in L.A. You don't need to just have a bag of chips, please.
Well, I mean, you know how it works down here. You get locked in a convention center, and that's all you see all day. So that's where we are. As we talk about this matchup, Coach, the more I think about it, the more I think how football games are won in the trenches. And if that's true in this matchup, I really like the Rams.
Well, you know, you've got two teams that have clearly earned the right to be there, but the playoff games are always about, they're always about two things, and the first thing they're about is turnovers, as we found out, because you got teams that are very evenly matched. There's no way that you get into the playoffs, and the deeper you get into the playoffs, clearly the better the teams are playing, and both of those teams have got the ability to put the hurt on one another because they can both. They've got quarterbacks that can spin the ball, and plus, both of those football teams are still able to run the football. But I just have to really believe, after having been involved against both of those teams and doing prep work for both of them during the season, I mean, I just have to believe that overall that the Rams have a deeper roster as to what's going on, and to me, the defensive front of the Rams, and honestly, guys, after that Sunday night game in November, I think that the Rams really kind of revamped their physicality, because you guys remember that game. The Titans really, beat them up. Beat them up physically, and they've gotten and they kind of retooled themselves a little bit, especially defensively. I just think that defensive front, after having seen what the Titans were able to do in a playoff ball game against the Bengals offensive front, I just have to think that if both teams are able to possess the football and hold on to it and not turn it over to the other one, I just think the Rams are more equipped to be able to go after the Bengals.
Coach Mack with us, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Need great health care coverage at an affordable price. Let Farm Bureau Health Plans coach you through it. They've been protecting Tennesseans since 1947.
Coach Mack, watching Stephen A. Smith this morning and just kind of watching all the football coverage so far leading up to this game, one of the big questions that keeps coming up, and I think it's an interesting one. Now, I know part of you is going to be like, oh, well, who cares? That's a dumb question. But who is I know where his coach, he won't ever say it, but I know where his coaching mind is going to go. But this is what we like to talk about as journalists. I put air quotes on that. Who is under more pressure to perform in this Super Bowl? Is it Matthew Stafford? Is it McVay?
I think it's the Rams all the way, and then and with both of those names that you just mentioned, Sean McVay's done really a nice job with that franchise. Having gotten them, this is his second Super Bowl he's gotten them to. Now he's been given everything. He's been given everything from all the money that you need, and let's trade away all the draft choices. And Stan Kroenke has been very generous with his money, cash over cap. We know what they've done to put that team together. You got the $5 billion stadium. That this is the reason that they built it. And so, I would really think that the head coach is always under the most pressure, because look, that's why he was hired there. That football team was moved there, with great effort. I was involved in that, knew what it took to get it there, and then I know what they've done to be able to get to this point. So I would say absolutely the head coach, because ultimately, no matter what, it's always going to come back to the head coach, whether with the success or non-success. Matthew Stafford has been a wonderful addition to him, but pressure-wise, it's still the head coach. He's got to get it done.
Coach Mack, let me ask you this. With that being the case, with coaching being a big factor, we talked about the Kansas City versus the Bengals game and that being squandered a little bit. I think you called it coach malpractice. What Coach Reed and them did. How many times, though, will Joe Burrow and his guys and the Bengals be able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Reap the benefits from the coaches playing like this?
Well, let's be honest, guys. Zach Taylor and the Bengals right now are on a magic carpet ride.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Everything has hit this. They're playing with complete house money, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. There's no pressure at all on Cincinnati. Zero. Yeah. There is none. And so what they have to be able to do. They're a lot of years ahead of schedule as far as to where everybody thought they were going to be. In fact, I've done several more shows, from Radio Row out there, and one of the questions that was asked me, you'll remember early on in the season when they put out all these lists and Don, by the way, I don't think your question was anywhere near a bad question. That was a really good question. But I think what are stupid are the list that comes out. And at the beginning of the season, when they put the odds out of coaches most likely to be fired, Zach Taylor was at the top of the list this season. All right. Well, now he's in the Super Bowl, so they're not under any pressure out there, and so they're going to play. They're going to be playing pretty loose. I don't even know why they would even feel any pressure being out there, other than the excitement of what they're getting ready to do and what they've been able to accomplish this year.
Right, so there's freedom in that, right? Like, so when we're looking at this matchup, that is definitely something you need to take into account, right? Like the ability the Bengals have in this matchup to play completely freely.
Oh, absolutely, Brent. There's not one thing that should restrict them as far as as emotions. Look, the Rams. As I say, I know that. I know a lot of those players on that roster very well because I was involved in helping them bring there. But I know what all of this has built up to, guys. I mean, you guys have been to the stadium. You see the stadium. You see how that's being perceived and stuff out there. If the Rams lose this ball game, all of that stuff, I mean, the building's not going to fall down, but, the head coach and that organization will have felt like they've fallen on their face again.
So how do you see this thing playing itself out this weekend?
Well, I mean, you tell me who's going to turn the ball over. That's the thing. That's the thing. We were able. The Titans. I mean, they made Matthew Stafford was bad. Matthew Stafford Sunday night, correct? Yeah. When we played him out there, I mean, just made him. I mean, he gave it all up, and the Titans just beat him up physically. Joe Burrow has not been turning the ball over. He has not been turning the ball over. So to me, I mean, it's not just the offense. Let's talk about look, Aaron Donald, I know what he is. And you saw him in that championship game that got him there. He was about out of his mind, on those last two series. Just he was clawing like a mad dog to get to the quarterback because he wants this so bad. I think that defensive front let's watch this real early and see how that defensive front, if they can even come close to replicating what the Titans defensive front did to Cincinnati, I can see them taking this game over.
Well, you've been a big hit down here at Radio Row, even though you're doing all these phone interviews, man. Everybody talking about Coach Mack down here.
Well, I hope they're not talking bad. There's some of them that probably could, but they probably won't because they know that you guys like me, so they probably won't do it to you.
I was about to say, Coach Mack, let me hear him utter a word. You hear me? Utter a word. Not say a word, utter a word. And I'm clotheslining whoever it is, Coach Mack. Old, young, it don't matter to me. You ain't going to talk about my Coach Mack.
Rod, if you hear anybody say anything and you get in trouble out there, I know enough people, you will not spend a lot of time behind bars, please.
There go my guy.
Hey, Coach Mack, on the way out, where do we need? Give us one place we need to eat out here in L.A.
Go to Malibu and go to Nobu. Please, take Dawn to Nobu in Malibu. Please. Get the table back there off the.
That's all you need to say. Take me to Malibu.
No,
that's all we need to say.
Nobu in Malibu. Get the table back there by the deck, and please enjoy it.
There he is. He's Coach Mack. Hey, thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Guys, have a good time out there. Thanks. See you.
Coach Mack, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. When we come back, maybe one of the more interesting people you'll ever hear from, even if you've never heard of him, which a lot of y'all have. Stick by the radio and listen to the conversation we're going to have with Kyle Turley. That's coming up next. Former NFL star, 3HL 104.5 The Zone. exceptional service. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people. A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. Nashville's only full-service salon, day spa, and gift boutique located in Cool Springs. Brent Doherty, Don Davenport, and Ron Slay. Appreciate you being with us at 3HL1045 on Twitter. You can watch the show live as we do it on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
Twitch, please.
Joined at the table by our friend Kyle Turley. Played a long time in the NFL and has been a cannabis advocate longer than anybody that I know of coming out of the NFL world. And it's amazing to think about when you started with that message where we are now, and I know there's still room to go.
Yeah, there is. Unfortunately, there's room to go, but we're down that road, and it's not stopping.
I see that Rams hat on you, man.
That's right, man. My Rams have been a fan since I was a youngster, you know. Right. When I was 8 years old, I had a Rams helmet. Got a picture of myself in three-point stance, same as I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, man. I got to live the dream.
So what did it feel like for you to sign that contract with the Rams as your childhood favorite team?
It was bittersweet, you know. I mean, it was my childhood team, but I got traded from, you know, my place, right? My NOLA, you know. I got traded. They switched GMs and booted me out of there because I didn't get along with the guy that's there now, you know. I offered, you know, full water under the bridge. They gave me that head coaching job, but they gave it to the D coordinator, you know. So
how dare they?
Yeah, right. Hey, well, they're just giving these jobs to all these idiots out there. I got the right skin color. Why not? Right?
Talk that talk. There you go. Yeah.
Kyle Turley. For those that don't know that are listening in Nashville, you used to live in Nashville. Do you get to Nashville much anymore?
I'm back, man. I moved back in June. Yeah, okay. We are back.
Oh, I didn't
know that. Right. That's right. Yeah, I've been sneaking around, been spying on y'all. You don't know I'm in town. Yeah. No, we just moved back, man, in June. We finally got back. It was a whole process of contemplation. We were out in California. I found this resolution and all these issues I dealt with when I was in Tennessee, in and out of Williamson County Medical Center, having seizures and light sensitivity and vertigo all the time. You know, it's hard to sit there and make that decision. Do I go back to being a criminal? You know, while our Governor Bill, I'm a big supporter of. I like what he said about China, but I'm living in Tennessee criminal right now because I had to put my kids in school. You know, I wasn't going to do that in California because that's not school. That's concentration camp. So, you know, I'm down in Franklin. My kids are enjoying it. Hopefully, my son makes the baseball team. I'm missing tryouts right now. You know, yeah.
So, for
real quick, Kyle has opinions about things.
I got truth. I got nothing but truth. Yeah. Well, it ain't opinions.
So let's let people know that maybe don't know your story, because I think that kind of shows where your opinions come from and why you are so vocal about how you feel about things. You mentioned Williamson Medical Center. You mentioned being in and out. Just kind of fill everybody back home in on why and what you struggled with.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, you know, I was there for 7 years. I was in and out of town on the road playing shows, went after a music career, did all the open mics to get there, and went and recorded a couple records, impressed some people, hit the road 100-plus dates a year. But when I was off the road, and during that time, it just kept getting worse and worse. You know, all these episodes of vertigo constantly resulted in me then having seizures. I was in and out of the hospital, you know, constantly. It wasn't anything fun to deal with, you know. And then all the other issues that come with that after they prescribe you all these medications, you know, it's not opinion. It's off of firsthand experience. I for 20 years lived in the pharmaceutical world doing everything they said to do. And for the 8 years now plus that I've experienced the resolution I've had, I've not taken one of those pharmaceuticals and replaced every one of them with cannabis. So, you know, the history of that versus the history of the other, and we got guys like Steve Gleason that have testified in front of the Louisiana State Legislature about how he would be dead 10 years ago from the medications of dealing with ALS if it wasn't for his knowledge and experience in using cannabis to help him through all this.
So in your days playing in the NFL, you know, you come up with this injury, this ailment, that ailment. The solution in that world was always take this pill.
Yeah.
Take that pill.
Yeah. It's always still is.
And as a player, you just do it.
It's still the same thing. You know, you turn on your TV, it's just just throwing it up all over our communities, and they're killing people left and right. You know, every one of these pharmaceuticals has a death rate attached to them. They can even put it out into the community with a death rate in their studies. They could kill up to, I think, 3 people in their study as long as they meet the criteria of the thousands of others that benefited from it. But those numbers add up when it becomes millions and millions of people, right? Which is why we've seen this, pandemic of extreme proportions by the pharmaceutical industry. And now they want to start sticking us with needles and new things they came up with that they just got rapidly approved. You know, we've got this plant that sits out here and hasn't killed a soul in the history of the world and is responsible to communicating with the number one regulatory system in the human body called the endogenous cannabinoid system that your doctor and yours don't want to talk to you about, because they don't want to give you the true knowledge of what it is your body runs off of. I don't know why.
And why do you think is sports and cannabis in a sense go hand in hand? I think when you talk about healing the body and things like that. But why is it so difficult for the people in charge to understand it? Is it because they haven't played? Is it the big money that's involved? Like, what is it to make them not understand? Because you see the NBA starting to do it a little bit, not testing so much for it. NFL, I would assume, but what is it? Like, what do you put
that's a great question. You know, I mean, we should go to maybe a Williamson County School Board meeting to have this conversation.
Oh, Lord.
Right? We'll be able to drive just throw all the conspiracies in the world at this thing, because it doesn't make any sense. You know, I've had the opportunity. The NFL's brought me in. I've given PowerPoint presentations in front of the entire medical staff of the NFL. Okay, these people are leading the head of neurology for the United States military, the head of emergency medicine for the United States military, the Vanderbilt University, the head of neurology, Alan Sills, who lives down the street, that after I give a full PowerPoint presentation, they say to me, "You're right, Kyle, we understand this. It's just going to take some time." And now they won't return my phone calls. They won't return emails. I was real nice at first, and then lately I just sent real, like, "Hey, what's up, man? I hope you better not see me around town anymore," and say something to me like you don't, like you know me, because you're being ridiculous now. You know, now they've given $1 million to some study in San Diego. A couple of my friends are actually part of, ironically, and thank goodness. But they're going to use some vape pens on some, rugby players. They're going to have a good exposure, good experience, bad experience. I've offered them a study every training camp for the last 40 years, just on CBD alone. You don't have to get high, and this will change the game. They won't let me do it. So I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. And furthermore, it doesn't make any sense why you would want to keep human health from humans. It makes no sense, because it's not about this plant, and this whole thing with marijuana. It is about what it exposes, the endogenous cannabinoid system. It's inside every one of us. If they lower drug testing to 10 nanograms of THC, everyone in the world would test positive for marijuana.
But see, I think what you mentioned, I think this is probably the stigma that exists. You mentioned the getting high, and that's the stigma that exists, but that is not the cannabis, the help you heal part of it that you kind of preach, right?
No,
I think that's what people maybe miss.
Well, unfortunately, that whole high side has been not accepted in cannabis conversation, but accepted widely in, the conversation of a glass of wine, a beer at the end of the day, to these pills that are being spewed into our communities. It's just one, okay? We're getting ahead of this. Well, it only took one for me, okay, to end up into 20 bottles on my counter, and all these other guys that have experienced this, and those who aren't here today, because of these companies pushing these drugs on us that do nothing but get you high. The high part of cannabis, that's the great part. That's just extra, okay? And if you can find those things in cannabis that speak to your system and they get you high at the same time, they're also helping you deal with everything around you at a next level of control and the ability to participate in this thing called life, So what is the problem with that? It's being high is just a better view of the world, At the end of the day, when it comes to cannabis, when you're high on everything else that they're giving to us out here, you're just high and you're detached from everything. I was on every one of those drugs, and they made me a zombie. From Zoloft to Depakote, Wellbutrin, almost jumped out the window of my house. These things are just poisons, and they should not be given to anyone. There's an opportunity in cannabis out out there for every person. There's over 400 strains of cannabis. Each one does something different. You don't have to be high.
Kyle Turley with us on 3HL. So what sent you down investigating that cannabis path? You mentioned the drugs, the pills, and all of those things, and that was destroying you, right? Like what sent you down that path, the cannabis path?
Oh, well, the drugs, the pills, man. At the end of the day, that's what it was. And then obviously the experience and real issues dealing with
just finding something
vertigo
else.
and light sensitivity. And so, for me at first, it was like, I was at my end. Okay, it was very homicidal, suicidal. All these things were just out of control, in and out of rehab situations. In and out of hospitals, having seizures. Like, what is wrong? Nothing can get better. That's what your mind goes through a post-football career. This is because they always tell you that when you're playing football, this is the best you're going to feel the rest of your life right now, right? That's what they said all the time in stretch before practice. The best your body's going to feel the rest of your life. Well, I've cured since neuropathy, plantar fasciitis. I deal with arthritic pain. I could go back and play maybe a series of football right now. Maybe I'll hold up past the first series. But I'm 46 years old, still training young guys now, in football, coaching still every time I get, active member of the community, starting companies, being involved in all these things. I don't know what you want from me. It's 8 years now I've been talking about this.
Yeah.
I'll be here 8 more. So, where are we going to be in this conversation 8 years from now? Or are they finally going to open this thing up and, for what it is? It's a true medicine. It heals people, and it saved my life, period.
Kyle Turley. All right, tell us about on the way out, RevenantMJ.com. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Revenant MJ is a brand that we started in California. We're all over the state now, and we are licensing across the country in every state possible. Hoping Tennessee comes online. I've heard a lot of rumors of medical program this year, and hopefully, swiftly into, full opportunity. All the city councils there are voting for it, overwhelmingly. And I think I just saw Clarksville 9-1 in the city council. It doesn't even happen in California, So I'm expecting good things out of Tennessee, and we'll be in Tennessee as well. We're exposing these strains that we've experienced and all of the opportunities that we've had in cannabis to the general public. And you can purchase it in California and these other states as we move along.
There he is, Kyle Turley. Good to see you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, we'll be opening the Revenant House in 2023, fully cannabis-based and plant-based recovery. We're going to use psilocybins, we're going to use cannabis, we're going to use all these plant-based medicines and have a full recovery center, hopefully getting our community back to where it needs to be.
All right. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
to see you,
Appreciate you.
Yep.
There's Kyle Turley. When we come back, Jake the Snake Plummer. That's next, 3HL 104.5 The Zone. boutique located in Cool Springs. So, Kyle Turley, if you heard it, you might imagine, received reaction on Twitter.
There's no in between. You're either all with him or all against him.
Y'all get Joe
He's opinionated.
Y'all get Joe Rogan on there today? WTF is this? What else? WTF, who is this clown? Here's another one. I'm loving this conversation in all caps. My husband is PTSD. This from Bennett, Air Force veteran. We're huge advocates for cannabis. He had the same experience with pills that Kyle had. That's why I'm glad you asked that question about differentiating between high and what he's talking about.
Right. The medical part of it.
Yeah, that's the bonus part, he said. But you also tested with your body to see what you can take and how
and what
how
you
it affects
want.
you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And we're for ideas on this show. So, I've never been that kind. I don't think you guys are either, that get upset about, strong points that people are making or things that they truly believe in that maybe you don't know a lot about,
I would rather hear a passionate response than
the why. I want the why.
Well, also, here's the deal, and this is I think part of the problem we have in our society right now. It's okay to listen to people that you disagree with.
Alternate ideas.
100%. You can listen to them and be like, this person's an idiot. I don't agree with any of this. But I think it's important that we all listen to both sides. You can't just listen to something you believe in and go in that direction. Then there's no room for growth. There's no room for acceptance. There's no room for, anything. Yeah, if you're just in your little own world tunnel where all you live is what you believe and don't let any other, beliefs or opinions filter in at all.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
That's why I like to hear why people are the way they are, why they believe what they believe, why they think the way they think. It helps me get along.
You never know, man. And it also can help your debate against them. Like,
Right. Hey, I listened to this person. I disagreed with him, and this is why.
On these points.
Or this is what this person said. I'm going to go do some research so that I can disprove what they're saying.
Here are a couple of other comments. This speaking nothing but facts. Kyle Turley, what a breath of fresh air. So much respect. Damn, that was fabulous. And this, facts are facts. Kyle Turley, 100% on point. Please let him know he has support from the volunteer state. So if you missed that interview and want to hear what he has to say about cannabis healing the body, go to the podcast section of the website, 1045thezone.com. Jake the Snake sits down at the table. Jake, what's up?
Slithered in.
How are you, man? I'm doing really good. You had Kyle Turley over here, and that's just an amazing human being doing some amazing stuff, not afraid to step out and, live a certain way, but also share the knowledge he's gained through some relief from a medicine that's a plant. And so I'm honored to follow Kyle Turley.
There you go. He just moved back to he lived in Nashville before, and we're in Nashville, and he just moved back.
Needless to say, people are on both sides of the spectrum of either liking or disliking that, So.
Yeah, I'm not worried about likes or dislikes. I'm worried about real life, feeling good and enjoying life to the fullest.
He
seems to be enjoying life to a high degree.
Talking to former players, it's always like, in terms of missing the game, you miss the guys. Like, you hear that all the time. We're sitting here doing the show. I see you basically leap over a wall to go embrace a guy. And that's what it's all about down here, right?
That was Brandon Marshall, who was a rookie my last year in the league. And so I watched him as a rookie, then I retired, and I got away from the game. But then to watch his career progress and then to also see the bravery he's shown to come out and talk about his mental illness and, big grown man, big badass receiver to show us that he's also weak and has the vulnerability. And it's just a breath of fresh air. So getting to see him, I haven't seen him in a while other than on TV. And that hug felt really good.
It's funny that you go down that path. We were, Don, I don't know, 2 Super Bowls ago, we just happened to, over the course of several conversations with former players, listen to their messages about battling through suicidal thoughts and things like
Jermichael Finley. Stood out to me because I hadn't heard him that vocal about it until that moment, and it strikes you because just like you said, you think big badass football player, like you're strong, you can handle,
He's a human.
Right,
we're all human,
right? Yeah.
So, it's good for those guys to share that story. I've realized the impact that we have when we speak truly from the heart and from experience. I've never been suicidal, but I've been through bouts of depression and battled, doubt and all these things that, when I was on a team, you had people around you to bring you back. But when you're off of that team setting and you're in real life, and who do you have around you? You hopefully you do have a solid partner, a good family, but some guys don't. And the people around them maybe have different ideas of how they want to be involved in this person's life. So getting to be real honest with yourself is a gift that, these guys, once they're given that and they can come out and speak about it, it's really good. And, we're here, not just football players as vets struggling, but I'm also here with Marcus Capone, who is a Navy SEAL who's working with his organization, Vet Solutions, that's exploring psychedelics for TBI, PTSD, anxiety, depression, as we're losing a lot of soldiers to suicide, or a lot of vets to suicide, and they're coming back, hooked on opioids, whatever it is. We're trying to provide them with, an opportunity to go and explore some true healing. It's not fun to face those demons or any of those dark shadows, and some of them, they're not even ours. They were passed down from generational DNA, epigenetics. Like, we didn't get what our great-grandfathers went through, but we got it through our DNA. So there's still all that in our bodies that we got to process. And so these guys that go through these treatments are coming back with a new lease on life and a new ability to look at life in a whole new way and appreciate every single day that we have on this earth. So I'm here to help with that, and also to talk about Umbo mushrooms, which, that's a company I helped co-found with Del Jolly and Rashad Evans. And part of our deal will be to fund research for psychedelics as a way to help, a whole country that's taking a lot of white pills and not getting any better. Let's explore these true options of plants that have been here for a long time, and some, white powerful man decided they should be illegal, and now they're illegal, where they're just plants growing out in nature. And so whatever we can do, I'm all on board for exploring and researching any of those options to help people, get back to feeling good and doing good and being happy on this earth.
You know what's interesting about this? We didn't schedule you and Kyle back to back for any particular reason. It just kind of fit in the slot. But
it's really cool. Kyle was doing this long ago. Before
I told him he was like the OG.
He was straight up the OG. Yeah, straight up. And so when we got an opportunity with Charlotte's Web to talk about cannabidiol and CBD and the hemp plant, which is just, it's not marijuana. It doesn't get you high. It's not anything like that. We went through the same stigma of like, I don't want that. I don't want to trip out. I don't want to end up in my basement watching movies and eating Cheetos all night. Like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing really that bad with that. But like this is a plant that really had a lot of healing properties in it. And so that blew up. Now everybody's talking about it, but the fungal kingdom is an entire kingdom of organisms, and we're just scratching the surface on not just psilocybin and psychedelics, but lion's mane for the brain and nerve growth. And like this fungus is amazing for your gut to eat, to take as a medicine. Turkey tail they use to treat breast cancer in Japan. Cordyceps is a natural for your cardiovascular system. It oxygenates your blood, gives you a natural boost. And this has been around forever, and now we're just getting into it. And so what I'm here to do is to, again, make people think, to get outside of your stigma on mushrooms being a gross topping at Carl's Jr.'s, that slimy thing of mushrooms, or something that's going to trip you out and make you see the trees talk to you. And like, there's nothing wrong when the trees talk to you. It's actually a beautiful thing. But there's a lot that could be learned from like just taking mushrooms as the adaptogenic properties they have, the abilities they have to balance you out with your hormones and bring your body back into homeostasis. It's been here forever. I'm just a conduit to help people maybe look into it and explore that as an option for their own health and wellness.
Jake Plummer with us on 3HL. We have to ask you, because one of our favorite people in the world works with the Titans radio crew and does a lot of stuff with us. We had him on the show today. Dave McGinnis was your head coach at one point.
Lovely, man. He's one of my faves. Amazing. He was the DC when I got to Arizona. So, I always was tight with the defensive side of the ball because I knew, like, great, I'm the quarterback, I'm on offense, but if I don't have those guys get my back, I would go talk to them, I'd go into their meetings, I'd go to their dinners, I'd try to be like, hey, I'm one of you too, even though I'm not tackling and playing D. But, Coach Mack we hit it off immediately. And then when he was the head coach, I mean, what a guy, what an awesome coach. He remembered like family members of mine, their names that he'd only met like once, like inviting them back into the family area, and that's just something that comes around once in a while. Someone as special as him. So
we go right back to relationships, right?
Yeah,
like, that's what it's about. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my memory of you is that you could have kept playing, like you still had it going. Why did you? If that's true, why did you leave? Game.
My 9th season, we had the team in Denver. We made it to the AFC Championship game. We got off to a rocky start. We couldn't quite pull it out against the Steelers. I mean, that was my shot to achieve what I had set out to go into the league to do, was to win a Super Bowl. I mean, I was a little kid dreaming about being a Super Bowl champ. And as I got through that 9th season, as my body was getting beat up, as I was taking anti-inflammatories, and at 29 years old, standing up after a movie and like taking a few like tender steps because I'm hurting, I'm thinking, how long do I want to do this? So that year, that 9th season I knew we had a shot. And had we gone on and won the Super Bowl, I was planning on like with the MVP trophy or being the MVP of the game. Of course, this is my dream I'm living in, right? To just say goodbye, thank you after that. I was ready to go because that's why I came and played football, was to win a Super Bowl. It wasn't to win 5. It was to win a Super Bowl, and then I was good. I'd done that, time to move on. But I came back and played one more season, and it was okay. But then I got benched for young buck Jay Cutler, and right at that moment I realized, like, okay, that's kind of a sign for me to let's go. If I'm not good enough, if this is how quickly you can replace me, I'm not going to go play for anybody else. I'm done, because I was close to being done last year. It's time to move on. I'm glad I did it. My body feels great now. Of course, I went through some tough acclimation, back into reality. But that's why I moved to the woods in North Idaho, where I could just process that all myself. Played a ton of handball. Did a lot of other exploratory things like hiking and traveling the world, and using some different medicines to just get right in my mind. And I feel great. I don't look back with any regrets. There was a moment I wanted to come back and play for Kubiak, but that was just a fleeting moment. And then after I realized I was chewing my nails and kind of acting like a jerk around the house, I was like, no, football's not for me anymore. I got to get out of this industry.
Jake Plummer.
So I had a chance to go to Tampa and play, but it just didn't work out. It wasn't in my heart. I was ready to move on.
There you go, Jake Plummer. GetUmbo.com is his company.
Yes.
And VetSolutions.org. Check those guys out. Thank you, Jake. Great to see you, man.
Thank you guys for having me on the show.
All right, there he is, Jake Plummer. When we come back, Kenny Mayne, one of our favorites, will join us next. 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
You've got a job to do, and we're here to make sure you get it done right. When you work with Ferguson HVAC, we'll make sure you get the equipment, parts, and supplies you need quickly. That way you can get in, get stocked, and get back to the work that really matters.
It shouldn't be that hard to get $52,000 in cash. Apply online at thehomeloanexpert.com.
the thing that happened. You have to say something right now. But I'm doing more, like I said, more commercial or promotional type things, but having fun doing it. Like I worked with Allison Becker, my friend. You might know her from, well, she was in my show first, Main Street show at ESPN. Then she was in Parks and Rec. She's been in a million commercials, some movies. She was on the Larry David thing. So, she's been around. And we together for Caesars put together, we're calling it the Kenny Mayne Super Bowl preview show. And it's not a very good show, actually. It's just us completely screwing around. We think it's good what we did, but don't look to that show necessarily to get updates on anything pertinent related to the game. We just went in her kitchen, or no, dining room, I guess it was. We pretended that I just picked her up off the street to be in my show. And hopefully, what day is today? Wednesday? Hopefully it's coming out tomorrow, maybe Friday. Who knows? They're putting it together now. What else did I do? I did some kind of cartoon series for Caesars where we did some kind of 101 betting stuff. Did some stuff with the Manning family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some with Clyde Drexler, Muggsy Bogues, Megaton. Did some with Rachel Demita, our new Caesars person. Trey Wingo and I have done. So like I said, it's not like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight TV saying so-and-so won and so-and-so lost. It's just the gravy part, the screw-around part. So it's fun. And I think I still might have my hand doing the conventional stuff like I did the Olympics for NBC in the summer. I couldn't do it for this because I'm here and there's just no way to do both at the same time. But, there might be other things.
So are the Mannings now all ensconced in gold at all times? Is that what's going on?
Yes, they got paid more than me. Is that what you're asking? But then they all did. No, I don't know what they got. Whatever they got, they deserve. They're very, obviously like amazing family that, all the dad and two sons, being in the NFL and Cooper's great too. And, we'll have every Manning in there eventually. And then we got Halle Berry in the commercial. That's not a terrible thing. JB Smoove, very funny. He's kind of the star of the whole thing.
Yep.
Trey Wingo, my friend from ESPN, who also left a little before me. They're like a sports team that has a lot of salary cap room, is what it feels like. They're signing people. And that's great because, there's a handful of big, or more than a handful, there's a whole bunch of companies, kind of battling for space here, like market share, so to speak, right? And Caesar's doing pretty well out of the gate. They really put a lot together in a very, very short time, and it's a new thing for them. They used to just be that place on, near Flamingo and the Las Vegas Boulevard, right? And now they've expanded this other thing that they had not been doing previously, and there has to be a way to get the word out, right? They already have a great brand name going in. And it's funny because I played football at UNLV, and the very first place on my recruiting trip I went was Caesar's Palace. I used to usher fights at Caesar's Palace. I ushered Ollie Holmes way back when. It's sort of like I had a relationship with that place in particular more than the other places, going way, way back to my school days. So it feels good. I got no complaints.
Was Randall Cunningham at the casino with you?
No, he was a freshman my senior year. Did he maybe go to Highlight with us once? I can't remember. We used to go, Highlight is the pelota and the sets and all that. I'll tell you what's very interesting is Caesars let me make up a couple of prop bets for the Super Bowl. They had to be, run through the system, make sure it was all legal and all that. And, somebody else makes them up, right? There's a human being who makes this stuff up. Maybe they have some computer program, too. I don't know. But mine... One is self-referential. It wasn't my idea. It was somebody else's, but it was a pretty good one, I thought. At UNLV, I didn't play all that much, and I didn't play very well. But the one time I threw a 59-yard touchdown pass, and we made the proposition, will anybody throw a touchdown pass at 60 or more yards? That's a big play. Somebody's got to hit a home run to win that. But I think it's plus 400 something. It's you're getting 4-1. And then the other one that I made up is, will there be an interception, a lost fumble, and a missed field goal?
Oh, that's kind of heavy.
I think that happens. I think that's going to happen.
You do?
Yeah, there's going to be
who throws the first one?
Yeah. who knows? A tip pick, we'll take anything. I mean, I think the ball's going to be.
You're rooting for chaos, for failure there.
Well, maybe you're rooting for success if the team that intercepts it is the team you want.
Okay, fair enough. Well done.
As an offensive point of order, yes. 3 failures, a drop. But, there could be a fumble on a punt return. There could be a fumble anywhere, kickoff, whatever.
Go knock out
a guy could intercept the ball. Oh, wait a minute. A guy could intercept the ball, run it back a ways, get hit, fumble it, give it back to the team that got intercepted. We might knock it out in one play.
Yeah, this is like George Costanza logic. I like it.
It's right up your alley.
Whatever. There's 2,000 different ways to bet the game. So, I mean, I just, I have a very tiny percentage of that.
It just makes it more fun. I do have a random question for you. Your Aaron Rodgers, last Sports Center, how that all went down. Just, wasn't there? There just couldn't have been a better final show, right? What went into that? What was the planning? Was it planned?
Well, I thought of the joke, I think, a couple days earlier, but I had to remember to do the joke, so that was the only planning. I didn't have any notes. I wasn't reading, teleprompter. I was just looking at the screen. He popped up on his FaceTime or Zoom or whatever we had him on. And in my head, we went through all we went through, and it's just at the very end, I was kind of like, I guess we're just about to wrap. And it's like, oh, do that joke. So it was like emergency. Somehow my brain remembered. All those interviews were just talking to people I know, so you don't really need to type out questions. Doing it was very funny, though, because we were doing a lot in a short amount of time. My nomination was, what if all these guests join us one by one throughout a show, and we're talking to them, and then, hey, hold on a second, we got to do the Marlins-Cubs highlight. Do the Marlins-Cubs highlight. Come back to that person. Marshawn, did you play any baseball as a kid? That was too much for the company to handle, so instead, we taped them all, but Marshawn had terrible Wi-Fi. I think he was at his sister's house, kind of leaning back on a couch, and it kept freezing up. And I'm calling Sue Burr, hey, hang on, I'm sorry, 10 more minutes. And everybody was very generous and understanding. Jamal Crawford, Fred McGriff. It was a pretty good cast.
Yeah, it was. Did Rodgers know your last line was coming?
No.
So good. Love it.
Kenny Mayne, Caesar Sportsbook. He's joining us live from 7-Eleven in Pasadena. At Kenny_Mayne. Always enjoy the visits, Kenny. Thank you very much, man.
You can still wait a minute. There's more to say here at the 7-Eleven. Update at the 7-Eleven. You can people still get DVDs at the red thing. There's a red box out front.
Really?
Are you kidding me?
I don't even have a piece of equipment that can play anything anymore. I have nothing to play. My computer can't play anything. There's nothing to shove a CD-ROM or a regular DVD or whatever. I don't have a VCR. But they got a red box at this thing. I mean, it's not impossible that people still have machines at home to play movies.
I still have one, Kenny. I got to tell you, I still have one. Now, I haven't used it, but I do have it.
Well, it makes me sad because I actually have some stuff I'd like to play. I need to buy. I had a computer that had the thing that you stick everything in on the side, like sucks it in.
Yeah.
But I can't find the charger cord for that stupid computer, so I can't use that. I don't know. They also sell lava propane here. It says fueling the fun. So if you're in the Pasadena area and kicking a barbecue this weekend, which some people would, right? I barbecue all year. I barbecue when it snowed a foot the other day. Just knock the snow off and walk outside and cook steak. But they don't have a price on it. I'm just letting people know that this is the place to be. I can read you the lotto numbers. Power something is 158. I think that's million. Why would they have a lottery and you only win $15? That's pretty stupid. So
that would be the lottery I would win.
Key point also, I'm violating this. It says no loitering. I would argue that I'm loitering right now. I'm not buying anything. I'm just sitting here in front of the lava machine.
Oh, that would be a great news story right there. That's a leader.
Kenny Mayne
a lead
arrested.
On SportsCenter.
Would SportsCenter air that? Kenny Mayne arrested for loitering?
Arrested for loitering and it sounds really wrong, doesn't it? he lost his work and now he's loitering.
Well, you can loiter on our show anytime, Kenny. We appreciate you, man.
Are we still on, or are we just talking off the side?
No, we're about to go to break. We're still live.
Our producers.
Don't drop the F-bomb or anything. We're still live.
How long do you guys run, like those 5-minute commercials, come back to say absolute garbage, and then go to another 4-minute break?
Probably.
If we don't get out of this block soon, we are.
Yeah. and then it's Warren Moon next.
Yeah.
Oh, you have Warren Moon next?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell Warren Moon that I am currently wearing a Don James football camp T-shirt.
Okay.
That'll mean
UW.
That was his coach in Washington. Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Wish him well, and hopefully I didn't eat up his time, but tell him if he needs either propane or movie rental, here's the place to be.
Got you covered, Warren.
But there's no loitering.
Love it.
Violators will be prosecuted.
Yeah, you can get all those things, but not in one day. That would be a record.
All right.
Thanks, Kenny. There you go, Kenny Mayne.
At Kenny_Mayne with Caesar Sportsbook. Yeah, Warren Moon is coming up at some point. Man, I love Kenny. He's the best. All right, I mean, everything you need to know about 7-Eleven Pasadena. That's Warren Moon coming up next, 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
It shouldn't be that hard to get $52,000 in cash. Apply online at thehomeloanexpert.com.
support driven by people. A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa, Nashville's only full-service salon, day spa, and gift boutique located in Cool Springs. We've got a guy that's in like every Hall of Fame walking over to the table.
Oh, yeah, this is like a guy. And I just shared a story with him, man. I told him he didn't remember because I hate when people walk up to me and say, man, I remember when we – and you'd be like, what are you talking about, son?
I just did this. I was like, so I did an interview with you 10 years ago.
To remember his story.
Right. He's probably like, geez, these 3HL fools. Yes.
Hey, man, a real guy, man, genuine all the way through. So I'm going to enjoy this right here.
And here he is.
Yeah, Warren Moon joins us live on Radio Row. Warren, what's up? How are you, man?
I am doing great, man. Just enjoying all this Radio Row again in Super Bowl. I've done a million of these things, and they're different every year. Every different location is a little bit different. This one's a little bit more compacted. I like this. I like it better than some of the other ones.
Obviously, you had an unbelievable career in every Hall of Fame, I like to say. College football, CFL, the NFL.
That just means I'm old.
So I've been through every league.
Exactly.
When I was a kid, we moved to Houston in the early 80s, and so I became an Oilers fan. And so to sit here and talk with you is an honor for me. But
well, thank you.
Do you find that Titans fans that recognize you despite the fact that you didn't play for that part of the organization, do they reach out warmly to you too?
You know, it's been good. I always had mixed feelings. Remember when I came there, I think it was right after I retired, they retired my number. And all my records and everything and my history are with the Titans now. So I remember addressing the crowd at halftime during the ceremony. And I'm saying thank you to all these people that probably have never seen me play in person before, you know. So it was a really different feeling for me because here I am. I got my number retired in a jersey that I had never played in that stadium before. But that's kind of what happens with big business in football. As teams move around, their history moves around with it, and that's kind of part of my history.
How many Grey Cups did you win? Like 6?
We won 5 in a row, believe it or not.
5 in a row.
Yeah.
So to think about your career, I mean, that is an unbelievable thing that you played basically an entire career in Canada and then came down here and had another one.
And that was something I had to think about when I first came down on my decision to go where I wanted to play because I had already played 6 years and I didn't know how much longer I was going to be able to play. I said, okay, if I sign a 5-year deal, that's 11 years in career. That's a long time back in those days. You know, players are playing longer today because of the rule changes and just the way people can take care of their bodies and all those different things. But I didn't know how much longer I was going to play, so that had a lot to do with my decision on where I was going to go financially because I wanted to get the most I could financially out of the deal, but also play for an organization where I felt like I had a chance to win.
So how did it come down that it I don't remember. How did it come down that you ended up in Houston?
Well, I came down to Seattle and Houston. Seattle is where I was living in the off season, where I went to school at the University of Washington. So my wife really wanted to be there, and I kind of wanted to be there too. Chuck Knox was the coach at the time, and I had followed him when I was growing up in L.A. as a Rams fan because he was the coach of the Rams. But then the Houston Oilers had hired my Canadian League coach, Hugh Campbell, as their head coach. And they were giving me the best financial offer, too, as well. So I was going to be the highest paid player in the league, and I had my coach from Canada. I'm like, this is probably where I'm going to go play, even though I knew I was going to an organization where they had only won 2 games the year before. You know, they were 2-14, and we were going to have some building. It was going to be some lean years. So that happened, but we finally got things turned around in year 3, went to the playoffs, and became a perennial playoff team after that.
Talk about that a little bit, just knowing you're going to a team, because you look at the Bengals, right? And you look at what they've been able to do with Joe Burrow and all of that. But the mindset of walking into a team knowing that they haven't been successful and knowing that you're in the position of quarterback where you can help to change that. What is that mindset?
Well, I kind of another reason why that situation made sense is I went through the same thing in college when I went to the University of Washington. They were 2-9 the year before I went there. I went there in Don James's first recruiting class. So I knew it was going to take some time for us to turn that thing around too, because you had to get the right athletes in there over a period of time. And we ended up going to the Rose Bowl in my senior year. So I had been through it before, and I felt like, okay, I can do it again at the pro level, and we'll see what happens. And that's kind of the mindset I came in there with, that I had already been through that rebuilding, and I felt like, okay, it's going to be some lean years. It's going to be some unhappy people. It's going to be a lot of unhappy people with me. Some of it's going to be nasty and racial and all those different things combined. But I've dealt with it already as an 18, 19-year-old.
Yeah.
I think I can deal with it now as a 26, 27-year-old.
Right, because the black guy can't play quarterback, right?
Yeah, exactly. The only problem was at this time I had 3 kids at the time, so it wasn't like just me dealing with that stuff by myself. Now my kids had to deal with a lot of that nastiness too, so that was the toughest part of it.
How much do you
go ahead.
How much do you get to reach back and also help these quarterbacks that are coming out now? You know, with you being away from the game and in this world that you are now, being able to tap back into those guys and give them a little bit.
I've tried to have relationships with a lot of these young guys, and you know they have so many people around them now, as far as their agents and handlers and their uncle Jim, and everybody in their family. They all know more about what they should be doing than somebody that's already played the game, but. I always let these guys know when I meet them. You know, I'm always available to you. Here's my number. If you want to contact me at any time, feel free. I send them texts more than anything else just to let them know I'm thinking about them, or if they have a bad game or whatever, just to know that they have that support there. So I'm more of a sounding board than anything else to a lot of guys that I've had relationships with.
The game, and I know you probably get asked this all the time, but you mentioned a little bit, you know, they can play longer. The rules have changed. You know, quarterback doesn't get hit nowadays. And,
Not much. Can you imagine?
Right. But
Oh my
what are
God.
your thoughts on how the game has evolved and changed?
Well, I like what they've done because the quarterback is such a vital part of any football team that if you lose one of those guys, your season's pretty much over. You know, there's not a lot of backups taking their team to a Super Bowl. So I understand why they're trying to protect the quarterback. I understand why they're trying to protect all the players as far as taking the head out of the game because of CTE and all the different things with head injuries. So that part of it I really agree with, but it's not the same game as it was. It's not the same physical game than when I played, I don't think. But it's still physical. There's no question about it. It's still a contact game. It's still it seems like a much faster game now than when I played. But I like what they're doing. They're throwing the ball all around. This would be right in my wheelhouse. If I was playing right now, I would love it.
Haywood, Jeffries, Ernest, Gibbons, all those guys.
You know, they talked about our run and shoot back in the day. That was like a gimmick, but now everybody's doing the same thing that we were doing back then, and we were doing the back shoulder throws, all that stuff we were doing back in 1990, but everybody's progressing off of it now and having a lot of success doing all those same things.
Hall of Famer Warren Moon with us on 3HL. So Coach Dave McGinnis does work with Titans Radio and does work with us. We were standing on the field one day, and he was talking about you and your arm, and he was talking about live arms in the NFL, but he mentioned you specifically, and he said, he threw piss missiles.
What is that? I've heard a lot of explanations for my passes of piss.
I don't know. That needs to be on the Wikipedia page, right?
on Dave Mack's Wikipedia page.
Yeah, maybe on the back of
it. It's like the best compliment ever is how I take it.
Well, I think it's good. Yeah.
Well, so Blaine Bishop works on our station, and he said when he got to the Oilers, he said he had never seen anything like it. He said you could hear his ball flowing through the air.
Yeah. A lot of work went into that.
Could you always throw it hard? Like, did you always have that kind of arm? You said a lot of work went into it.
I always had the arm, and that was one of the things when I came out of college. They wanted to change my positions, and one of the things they would say, he didn't have enough arm strength.
You know?
Wow. I'm like, what? Arm strength? That might be the only thing I do have.
Coach, I got piss missiles coming.
But they wanted to put me at a defensive back or wide receiver. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not that fast. I'm not that athletic. I'm a good athlete for quarterback, but I'm not a great athlete that can go out there in a corner and cover one of these receivers or run a route, you know. So I just knew it was all a bunch of crap, and I knew it was going to be tough for me to make it at that position. That was one of the reasons why I chose to go to Canada, because I didn't want my position changed, and I knew I could play the position at a very high level. It was just a matter of being given the opportunity. And one of the reasons I came back to play in the NFL, because I thought I was going to play my whole career up there. I enjoyed it that much.
Really?
I still wanted to know how good a quarterback I could be. And the only way you can judge yourself is to play against the best. So that's what brought me back to the league. It wasn't the money. It wasn't anything like that. It was, how good am I?
How much do you guys get in your era, that I like to say golden era, especially for the black athlete? You ushered in so many younger guys thinking they could play, because it wasn't about, man, look how big and diesel he is.
Right.
And the weights wasn't involved. It was the heart and what you could get out there and do and get the job done. How much do you look back on it and these younger guys pay homage to you guys.
Yeah, one of the most proudest things I am of my whole career was that myself, Randall Cunningham, Doug Williams winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When we played during that 80s, 90s time, we were able to make change at that position, at the most critical position, I think, in all of team sports.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm with you.
Quarterback is not only a leader on the field, he's a leader of the organization.
Yeah.
He's a leader in the city. He can be a leader in the state. He can be a leader all across the country. That's how much he can be a leader as far as that position is concerned. So for me to be able to help make that change at that position and create so many more opportunities for young people because we open the eyes of all these owners and general managers, that's something I'm really, really proud of. And I stick my chest out every time I see a Patrick Mahomes or a Russell Wilson or a Dak Prescott, and these guys are being highest paid players in the league.
Right.
There's #1 overall picks in the draft. They're highly endorsed, and more importantly, they're using their name in a positive way as far as social change and different things like that. So that's something I'm proud of.
Warren Moon with us on 3HL. So creating opportunities. How do we do that for black head coaches in the NFL?
Wow.
Because the Rooney Rule.
I think we have to take a gun and put it to these owners' heads and say, look, if you don't hire an African American, I'm pulling the trigger. No, it's almost that drastic. You know, what do you do? I mean, they've tried to do everything. They've tried to offer draft picks and incentives and different things like that. And it's not like these guys aren't qualified. I mean, an Eric Bieniemy, he's been on this sidelines for 4 years, one of the top offenses in the league. He's the play caller. You know, Andy Reid is not the play caller. You look at Byron Leftwich, what he's done the last couple of years in Tampa. Todd Bowles, he's been a head coach before with his defense. I mean, I don't even have to name all their qualifications. These guys are ready to be head coaches or have already been head coaches. Why they don't have the jobs?
Yeah.
I just think it's disgraceful. Disgraceful.
Eric Bieniemy, 15 interviews.
Yeah. I don't know what they're looking for.
And I think
don't tell me he doesn't interview well. I mean, what does he need to do?
Yeah.
He just needs to show you what his football acumen is and can he lead men. And if you talk to his players, they will tell you he's one of the most inspirational players in that organization.
You think part of it has to do with how talented that people are like, oh, but look at his quarterback. You know how talented his quarterback is, and we all know though sometimes it doesn't matter how talented your players are if the coaching is not right in there.
Exactly. You have to develop those players too. You know, he was a rookie at one time just like everybody else, and he'll tell you he's gotten better every year, and one of the reasons he's gotten better is because of his coaching. So they took this raw piece of clay that Patrick was, because he was just a guy that ran around and threw the football in college. You know, he didn't have a whole lot of success, but they focused him in on what he needed to get good at and what he needed to learn, and they developed him, and you see what he is. He's one of the best quarterbacks in football, and it's the same thing all the other places where they've had, like Byron Leftwich. Okay, he had Tom Brady. Who couldn't coach Tom Brady? But he did a great job when he was with the Arizona Cardinals too, when he was with Bruce Arians. So I don't know. Everybody's going to have an excuse why a guy isn't going to get hired or not. Those are just excuses. It's just like people saying I didn't have a strong enough arm when I came out of college.
Yeah.
Excuses.
One more I've always wanted to ask you about. What was your relationship with Buddy Ryan like? And can you walk us through what happened on the sideline with him and Kevin Gilbride that day? Like, I mean,
me and Buddy always got along.
Did you?
We were good, but Kevin and Buddy had a rivalry that started way back in our training camp, because when you're in training camp, all you're going against is each other, right? And Buddy had never really gone against the run and shoot before with his defense, his 46 defense.
Yeah.
So when we spread that defense out and started running all these routes, and he's got 3 linebackers on the field in a 46 defense, they didn't know how to cover us. So it almost became a keeping score every day, who was winning, you know, and it shouldn't have been that way. And Jack Pardee probably should have cut that off in training camp, but he didn't, and it became us against them. And we had offensive linemen fighting defensive linemen. We had coaches argue. So it finally came to a boiling point in that one game where I wasn't even playing that game. I think I had hurt my ribs, and Cody Carlson was playing.
Oh, okay.
And I was on the sideline right by Buddy and Kevin, right? So
you're in the video.
So we get the ball back. We go back on the field. It's like 1 minute and 41 seconds left in the half, and instead of us running the clock out, Buddy thought we should have ran the football. But Kevin called another pass, and Cody threw a pick, right? And so now his defense has got to go back on the field for the last minute of the half, and he was pissed off. And that's when he turned around and called him a name and said, "You stupid son, what son of a whatever," and took a swing at him. And I was standing right there. I said, "It's finally happened. It finally came to a head, and they pulled everybody back, and that was about the end of it. But yeah, it did catch a lot of attention. For that one particular game.
What was halftime like then? Like, was it just?
It was very quiet. It was
so
very quiet.
So funny. Well, hey, appreciate it, man. We covered some topics. Really appreciate the time.
Yeah,
man.
my
Always
pleasure.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Is this the best uniform ever?
Unbelievable, huh? It's not the most intimidating color, but it's a good-looking uniform. When we came out the tunnel, we didn't intimidate anybody in that powder blue.
Love your blue Oilers.
Beautiful.
2023. They're going to pull it out.
Bringing it back, baby. All right, let's go Titans, right? Let's go Titans.
There you go. Warren Moon at WMoon1 on Twitter. We'll be back. 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
have been a power forward or a small forward.
Oh, yeah. This is the first time you met him in person.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
He's in.
I was looking at him like
Cosell was an athlete.
I kept looking at him like, dude, look familiar. But for some reason, I thought he was
from
short.
The matchup show, because he's always sitting down on that show, isn't he?
So yeah. So yeah, darn. Okay.
Radio Row coverage presented by Ferguson HVAC, quality products, exceptional service. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people. A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa, Nashville's only full-service salon, day spa, and gift boutique, located in Cool Springs. Coming up tomorrow, we've got kind of a plethora of random people so far scheduled, and I don't have it in front. Oh, there it is. Pac-Man Jones is going to come out on the table.
It's Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow Thursday.
Yeah.
I know. I completely forgot.
I thought today was Tuesday for some reason.
Kix Brooks, country music superstar with Brooks and Dunn, coming by the table.
We got a lot of people.
Trey Wingo,
the Wingster,
will join us, among others.
The Street Right Guy wings.
So, Cousin Danny in the Borough at 3HL 1045. He writes, always loved them, but I must say, at 3HL 1045, putting out some grade A high-quality radio today.
Hey.
Buck Rising as well. We'll both be doing our shows here again tomorrow. And, so to put you in kind of our world right now, we met in the lobby at 8 o'clock this morning.
Yes.
After arriving at like 2 o'clock in the morning in the hotel, and then it all started. So we went upstairs, and they had all already like taken the breakfast away,
mopped it.
So ate some oatmeal.
Yep, with a Pepsi Zero sugar.
And then that was it.
I ate a breakfast burrito. You guys didn't eat it because
and it had no meat.
It said no meat.
Yeah, no.
And so you guys felt like you didn't
meat?
even want to try it because it didn't have no meat.
Didn't have no meat.
Now let me tell you, there
burrito ain't got no meat.
And car ain't got no roof. Burrito ain't got no meat.
Why would you even make a burrito without meat?
Yeah.
Why would that even enter your thought process?
There was bits of bacon in it. I mean, I don't know who in their right mind doesn't think that that's meat, but in mine at least, there were bits of bacon. So you guys missed out.
You could
You're
mess
a
a
little
person's
snotty.
day up.
Don't give me meat.
That's cool.
So
you missed out.
So we're
peanut butter
starving.
M&Ms out there.
We're starving.
Yep.
Right now.
Yes, every
Man,
bit of
can we go get worldwide tacos?
We will have them again before the time is
At
done.
2 a.m., I'm like doing research on everything about this
So-
family that owns Worldwide Tacos and how
So
we're
what?
going to get them to Nashville.
All you need to know is Unc and Auntie.
By the way,
That's all you need to know.
We did talk with Warren Moon about Ryan Tannehill after the interview, and he said he's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
He saw some good things from him. Obviously, the last game didn't end the way that he wanted with the 3 interceptions, but he thinks he'll be all right. And he said next year will tell.
So here we go. We heard it again from another former player. He's going to be all right. Just got to open a couple of things up and some consistency in the lineup.
So what did we do today? Danny Kanell, Solomon Wilcots, Aaron Taylor, who was phenomenal. Coach Mack, Kyle Turley, Jake Plummer.
Wow.
Kenny Mayne, who checked in from 7-Eleven in Pasadena, and Warren Moon. Get all that on the podcast portion of the website. Back at it tomorrow. Love y'all. Be good.
See ya.